Hey, welcome to week 7. This week we are looking at the flipped classroom model. So in that module, you're going to have 3 videos and a pretty long infographic that walk you through it. I recommend starting with that infographic from Newton.com and then watch each of the 3 videos. They're all pretty short. Should give you a nice introduction to what flipping is. So the idea is that you have like a lecture that happened in class and then an activity and homework or a worksheet or something at home. Right? So by flipping those, the lecture is at home and then the worksheet, the activity, the thing is in class. So the idea, it makes a lot of sense with math, particularly like high school math. Take notes for the next 45 minutes while I just talk and you're silent taking notes. And then go practice at home. And if you're stuck, too bad. So the idea is take notes at home when you just need to learn the content. And then in class, let's do, numbers 1 through 8, and then the odds, 9 through 16 or something. Although it would be 9 through 17 because it's an odd number. Anyway, that idea, like on the surface, makes a lot of sense. Some people go like full on into like flipping the classroom. This is going to be amazing. And it's just not. So you'll see in my announcement, my goodness, can you tell it's been a long week? I've spoken with John Bergman and Aaron Sams, the guys that usually get credit for what the flipped classroom is. And this is, by the way, if we backtrack just a tiny bit on a quick tangent, why it's so important to be a connected educator, because you end up going to conferences and bumping into people like this. So I actually didn't even catch Aaron right away. I was like, oh my goodness, you're the flipped classroom guy. He was talking to someone that I knew well. He was like, hey, I'm Aaron. I was like, oh, hey, yeah, so flipped classroom or something. He was like, yeah, it's cool, but, like it wasn't the point. It was just like, in science class, it would be great if we could do more experiments, right? There's this content that we feel the need to cover, which isn't the same as we have to cover it. There's this content we feel the need to cover, so how do we cover it to free up some class time for experiments, right? We can cover it by lecturing at home. But the problem, and this is something that Ramsey Musallam talks about a lot, he teaches high school chemistry. He was a host of the Infinite Thinking Machine for several seasons. His whole idea is that like kids aren't going to watch that, like it's still homework and it still sucks. And he's right. So one thing that he did is this idea of explore, flip, apply. So explore, where you actually do some sort of, again, it makes a lot of sense in chemistry, particularly with high school. You do this thing, and then like this thing explodes, and you're like, what did that explode? That's amazing. Like, well, that's actually a really complicated answer. Go home. I'm going to go record a video right now because it's the last period of the day. I'm going to record this just-in-time video that goes pretty deep into some chemistry. And then you're really excited, so then you actually go home and you actually watch the video. And the next day you're like, oh, that totally makes sense. Let's do an experiment where now I take that knowledge and we do something with it. That makes sense, but often that's not what you get with the flipped model. It became like this whole like educational philosophy, and it's not. It really isn't. I think one of the better versions is actually what we're doing now, where you actually get to hear somebody that, I would love to have this be just a discussion face to face. So in lieu of that, it's me talking at my webcam for, 5 to 10 minutes. This feels like a decent way where using a video to make something be more personal, have something come alive more than it otherwise would, makes a lot of sense. Trying to have an idea where like students are like, oh, how do you explain this thing? And like it's a complicated thing. That makes a lot of sense. Saying, I'm never going to lecture again, but I'm still going to lecture for, every single day for math class doesn't make a lot of sense because kids are going to do whatever they can to skip that lecture because it's still just boring. I learned this mostly because I was teaching an undergrad class for preschool teachers about math and made some videos that were just lectures, me just talking and clicking through slides. And my students watched them because they had to, because they got points for taking notes. So if you bribe or threaten students with points, then yeah, like I guess flipped works. But the idea is to create this need, or to actually better yet, just have an actual need, and then students are like, can you help us more, right? Or you go through a lesson and students are really engaged in doing this thing, and then a couple are stuck, and you make a video to help them. That makes a lot of sense. Regardless, the idea, and I think best practices for the flipped model, is to create new videos every day, or however long you're going to flip. If you flip on Mondays or whatever, then you would be like, all right, I'm going to make a video after class, go watch it, so that you could address those actual students and meet their actual needs. And it's not like, I flipped all of my classes, and now you can do lessons 1 through 50. That doesn't personalize the learning at all, and it doesn't create a need where students are super excited about it. So with all of that said, let's talk about the assignment very, very quickly. You guys are big kids. You can read about what you need to do. I highly recommend making 2 shorter videos instead of 1 long video, because 1 15-minute video, it's really, really long. Like 5 to 10 minutes is the sweet spot. In fact, like 3 to 8 minutes is even better. So I would do that. Aim for like 5 minutes, just less than that. Do one this week, do one next week. If you're dying to, do a long one. In my experience, just doesn't work great. Just record yourself. If you want to do some sort of screencasting, Explain Everything is a fantastic app for that. So we'll record your voice. You can draw on stuff. You can bring pictures in. You can export slides as pictures and bring them in if you want to have slides. There are many suggestions like Screencast-O-Matic that you could use. Yeah, so it's your choice with that. The biggest thing, though, is that you have ideally 2 short videos. You can do whatever you want, and then you're going to do a lesson plan. If you do 2 short videos, it's 1 lesson plan, kind of part 1 and part 2. And you're going to upload those, embed those into your website, and you are done with the assignment. So happy week 7, everybody.